All right, y'all. So, you want to be a welder. It's a good idea. It's also a bad idea. There's a lot of pros and cons. I've been a welder for about 10 years now. I will start with the cons. Cons being it will tear up your lungs, absolutely destroy them. Um, a lot of people, like I know when I first started out, I was like, oh, I'll wear a respirator all day long. I'll be fine. You're not gonna wear it. You're gonna be in the field somewhere, or the shop's gonna be 110 degrees. Nobody wants this thing on their face all day. You're gonna be soaked in sweat. They they gunk up so fast. You're gonna be spending $50 a week on cartridges. Your employer's not gonna buy them for you because you need special ones that filter out the vapor of the welds. You're just not gonna wear them, so your lungs will get eaten up. A lot of shops don't have ventilation. Their ventilation is high ceilings, so you could be all right if you don't stick your head in it, but chances are if you're a welder you will die of mesothelioma or lung disease or lung cancer. That's just the way it goes. It's very bad on your eyes. If you're in a welding shop, you're gonna get arc flash all day long. Just because you're walking through the shop and there's 20 other welders, boom, 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 boom. You can't even walk. You gotta walk like this, and it's constantly flashing. There's no way to avoid it. Even if you have your hood down, the arc gets around it sometimes, but even just focusing on the dark, like you're in the dark all day and you focus on a little pinpoint, it tires out your eyes. You get real tired at the end of the day. It's hard on your body. There's a lot of grinding dust. There's a lot of grinding involved in welding, so that dust is bad for you. Uh, Try wear a respirator for that stuff, but like I said, it's easier said than done. So your body gets pretty worn out just with lifting all the metal. Um, you're gonna get a lot of cuts on your hands, a lot of burns. I could show you some burns. You will constantly be getting burned. You'll get burned in every little spot of your body. I've gotten sparks in my ears. I got sparks go down my pants. I got sparks that go in my boots. I have burns everywhere. And the thing is, if you're doing a weld that is like X-ray quality or something like that, or it needs to be done right, you're not gonna stop when you're getting burned. You're gonna finish out the weld because a lot of times you can't start and stop that weld. You have to finish it out. So you just gotta grit your teeth and push through the pain of getting burned. Let's see. Well, other con, in my experience, the unless you're a pipeline welder, you're not going to be making that much money. The main money for a welder is pipeline. And if you're a pipeline, you need to be on the road. You're going to be in Alaska or wherever the next boom is, Texas. You're going to be away from work, or away from home. You're going to be living on the job. You're going to be working your ass off, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing if you want to do that for 5-10 years and make a ton of money and then go home. But for some people, it's not doable. I was never really interested in that. I wanted to be home. I wanted to be starting my own thing at home. So if you just want to be a welder, that's all you want to do, you're not going to make money unless you're a pipeliner. You start getting the money when it comes to fabricating. If you're a real good fabricator, you'll make some more money. But it's also not that great. It's not as great as you'd think. Like in my experience, if I wanted to go be a fabricator right now, I'd get 30, maybe 35 an hour, which sounds okay. It does, but it could be a lot. It could be a lot better. The other trades pay more. Um, what I did, I started out as a welding shop. Did that. It got old. You know, it's hard to drop your hood at 6 a.m. and then lift it up at 4:30 and go home. It gets real old. Just weld, 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 weld. So I ended up going into I worked at a plant that they needed a welder, but they also needed help with other stuff. So I would weld for half the day, then go change out a pump, rebuild a bearing, rebuild a gearbox, stuff like that. So I ended up diversifying my skill set, and I kind of just used welding as a get in the door, which worked out well for me. There's a lot more money in that, like a general industrial mechanic that can weld. That's where the money is. Then you're talking 40, 45, 50 an hour. So welding is a good base rate, base skill to have. Um, if you just want to be a MIG monkey, forget about it. You'll be making $15 an hour the rest of your life. If you want to be a TIG welder, okay, you could make some good money on that. You need to bring your A game every day. If you're TIG welding aluminum, if you're having an off day, it's a bad day, and you're gonna get fired. You need to lay a perfect weld every time. Underwater welding, that's stupid. You'll die. You'll die pretty quick of that, and the jobs are so hard to find. Some pros, you'll always have work. It's great for side work. I would say welding is the number one thing for side work, because I do a lot of side work, and I'm always swamped with work. A lot of people need stuff welded, and they don't want to go to a big shop that charges $300 an hour. So they'll come to me. I'll charge them 100, 150 an hour, and I'll get it done. If you're a welder, be prepared for everyone asking for stuff to be welded. As soon as they find out you're a welder, they want to have you weld everything for them. And they also want you to teach them how to weld. I always say no to that. I'm not going to teach you how to weld. It's a hard process. I'm not going to use all my electricity, all my gas, all that to teach you how to weld. A big problem I have with side work welding is, or even just in general, a lot of people are under the impression of if it sticks, it's good enough. So you'll see, I've applied for quite a few places where they like, oh, you know how to weld? We got a welder. And then you look at their welds and like, oh my God, this is your welder? This is bird shit. They're like, well, it holds. So a lot of people don't want to pay for the premium welds. If you're a welder, be prepared to wake up early every day. You're not going to find a job that starts after 6 a.m. Most welding jobs start at 6, if not before that. A lot of the welding shops are not heated, they're not cooled. You're hot in the summer, you're cold in the winter. But yeah, it's a good career if you broaden your skills a little bit. If someone told me they just wanted to be a welder, I would advise against it, just because there's easier paths you could take. Like if you want to sit in one trade and make a lot of money, be an electrician, be an HVAC guy. They get paid more, and it's easier on the body. You're not destroying your lungs. The big reason I got into welding was because I have a lot of, I guess, racing thoughts. Like my brain's always going. I have ADD. And I found the one thing that turns off my brain is to weld. Like as soon as I start welding, I can't think straight anymore. Like my mind goes numb, which was a huge pro for me. Huge pro. It gave me some silence in my brain, so I liked that. And I just like fixing stuff. It's a throwaway world, but welding kind of delays that a little bit. Like I've fixed some cool stuff. I've made some cool stuff. It's very satisfying to take something that's broken and then you fix it again. Or take a big pile of metal and then you turn it into this awesome thing. Some skills, you need to be good at math. There's a lot of math. There's a lot of fractions. Like when you get hired as a welder for the first 6 months, you're gonna be a metal bitch. You're gonna be putting away metal and you're gonna be cutting metal. And if the customer says he wants it 32 inches and an eighth, they all better be 32 inches and an eighth. If they're 32 inches and a quarter, you're fired. You're gonna be good with a tape measure. You're gonna be good at doing quick math to figure out, okay, I have this piece, how much do I have to take off? A lot of angles involved. You're gonna be doing a lot of grinding when you first start off too. I didn't even touch a welder for 6 months. I was a certified welder right out of welding school, just grinding all day. Just grinding off people's welds, cutting metal, stacking metal, and then you kind of earn your spot as a welder. So yeah, it's not one of those jobs where you get out of school and you walk in day one and you're the guy. You're not the guy. You're the bitch. And if you walk in on day one and you're like, I'm the best welder, I know how to do everything, everyone's gonna fucking run you off the job. You are there to fucking be the bitch. You are there to cut metal, grind off welds, hand welding rods to your welder, change out gas tanks. You're the bitch. And you better get used to that. You better get your mind right. Because you don't even know what you don't know when you're fresh out of school. Like, I didn't know how to cut metal with a CNC bandsaw. I didn't know how to use the tubing bender. I didn't know how to use a punch press. I didn't know any of that. They don't teach you that in school. You learn all that on the job. So take a class. Probably a 6-month class is enough. Get some certifications. Go to a welding shop. Learn as much as you can. And then start broadening your skills. Work for like a power plant. That would be a good place to work. Or food plant. Food plants are good. There's a lot of stainless welding, but also a lot of motors, a lot of gearboxes, a lot of electric. And you learn how to do all that. You broaden your skills. Because like I said, welding isn't really a one-trick trade anymore. It's not like you're an electrician. It's you're a welder and you do all this. If you just want to be a welder, you're not going to make a lot of money. You're just not. There's nobody out there that's paying $40 an hour to be a MIG welder. There's nobody out there paying all that stuff unless you're on the pipelines to be a stick welder. And if you're on a stick welder crew, you're going to be getting dirty. You're going to be in a mud puddle at 5 a.m. welding, freezing. You're going to get burned. You're going to get shocked. You're going to get a bad ground. It's going to go right through you. It's going to be a dirty job. You're going to work for that money. You're not going to be a TIG welder sitting on a bench just doing little cool parts all day. Not at first, at least. You got to work up to that. And even that gets old. So that's a good base skill to have. Yeah, so it's a good career. If I could do things differently, though, I would go be an electrician. Same thing every day. Pays a lot of money. But it is cool to be a welder. You can make a lot of cool shit. I made some cool shit. And it's impressive to a lot of people. Especially when you show them, like, a bunch of pile of metal and you show them what you built. They're like, holy shit, you built that? I'm like, yeah, I built that. So that's cool. But yeah, use it as a base skill and then go from there. Make some money.